La la la. Welcome to this podcast. Yeah, welcome to this podcast. Welcome to this podcast. Yeah. Welcome to the Please Don't Watch This podcast. I am your host, Nintendo GameCube controller, and joining me as usual, we have a CDI ridiculous looking controller. CDI ridiculous controller.
I'm here. The CDI controller is back after 3 or 2 or a good amount of time where we haven't had a podcast. So as you guys can see, this is what we're dealing with, the screen. These are all our topics today, right?
Yeah, okay, we're gonna talk nothing about these.
What does Minecraft Steve have to do with this? Oh, he's in Smash.
I'm surprised he wasn't in Smash, honestly.
I hope not. But I mean, everyone's available.
I mean, if they were gonna put in Minecraft Steve, then clearly they should have put in Roblox person.
Excuse me, it's a Robloxian. I didn't know you're so basic, Carl, with your knowledge of the Roblox lore.
Nerd!
Speaking of, how was our weeks?
Terrible.
What do you mean?
It's terrible.
Right. So you might have to just get back into what you were talking about, like the past couple of days when you're back. But well, I think we could also discuss how you think the us covering you went and all that.
That's my bad. I didn't mean to click that.
What is that? What did you send me? Oh, thank you.
I was just trying to load up your voice to be louder.
Carl sent me a Discord invitation to Katie's Discord, which I'm already a part of.
It just popped open and it was like, okay.
In fact, I moderate there too. Well, not really moderate. There's not a need to moderate that much.
All right, so so we have a completely unprepared podcast for today, except for like one topic that Speed wants to talk about. So it's going to be a really good podcast today if you didn't know anything.
Yeah, especially because that white line from the Endless Ocean is going to bother everyone. Yep, in fact, it's already bothering Dolly. Just make it slightly larger throughout the stream. like lift the image up subtly, you know?
Hold on,
are you doing it?
I got it.
Okay.
There. It's perfect. That's great.
Awesome. Let's keep going. Okay. So, okay.
So, Speed, tell us how your week has been.
Sick.
What a
it happened on I think Sunday actually. No, Saturday. It happened on Saturday because Johnny was like, "Let's eat out," and I was like, "I'm feeling kind of malaise. I don't know if I can." And he's like, "Well, what are you, not a bro?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I am a bro. Let's go." and then I got sick. It wasn't anything too intense. It's
so,
like.
Does that mean that whenever you don't feel like playing like Fortune Street or Counter-Strike, do I just have to be like, well, are you not a bro then?
Well, that's what happened on Monday, isn't it? Is that not?
Well, just asking, because we're always looking for a fifth player to play Counter-Strike with us. And
Counter-Strike now.
Yeah, so we just gotta be like, yo, Speed, you want to play some Counter-Strike? And be like, no, and then we'll just be like, oh, so I guess you're just not a bro.
You're not a bro. Okay, well, anyway, Sunday, is Sunday when we played Fortune Street, or was it Monday? No, it was Sunday.
I think it was Sunday, because you were sounding pretty... Yeah, it was Sunday.
Because I was sounding like this. But now I kind of sound like this. I'm still a little sick, but I'm recovering. So, but,
yeah, because that was the day when we played 2 rounds of Fortune Street. I won the first game. Nobody won because it crashed, and then Evan joined us.
Pretty close, though. that was a fun game.
And then we
Despite-
spent literally like an hour and a half waiting for Evan to get it going after he said he had it all ready to go.
But yeah, in retrospect, that was a fun stream. But when I was there, I'm like, I should be resting. I shouldn't be here. and I kind of paid for it because on Wednesday and Tuesday, and Thursday, I didn't watch your streams because I was just resting and sleeping.
Yeah, you were dead.
Yeah, I was of the deceased nature.
The deceased
But-
nature.
But then around Friday, I was like, oh yeah, I can play Fortune Street with you guys again. We didn't stream that one. And Carl said a good amount of. Evan said some big words. Evan
did.
said some big swears.
Yeah, he did.
I've
He
never,
was.
I've never heard Evan swear, so that was a treat.
It was funny because like we were talking about that before we went into that game too. Like you were like, I've never heard Evan swear, and I was like, believe me, it's actually scary when he does it, and then he actually did it.
I didn't think it was scary. I thought it was hilarious. He was like, Luigi, you, and then I can't say the rest of
And then
that.
bleepity bleep 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 bleep.
And then later on in the game, it's like, Luigi's my friend. You know, Luigi's a swell guy. Besides that, besides being sick, I have not been working on anything. But I do intend to start working on some stuff for the end of the year thing. I have a good amount of commercials planned. Hopefully that'll go swell next week or this week. Do you believe Sunday marks the start of the week or no?
It's kind of weird because I don't have a normal job, so it's just like my weeks are just kind of like whatever.
Whatever. Thanks, Squall. Well, sometimes I view that although Sundays are to me the start of the week, Mondays are when you gotta get the feet running. At least that's how I view it. I don't know. But hopefully I can get some work done in time. But I do got some Christmas stuff to work on too, as I was saying earlier during Moonbase. I haven't been playing any video games either, besides Fortune Street with you guys. But now that I have break, so I finished finals Tuesday, and I got a full score, 100%.
Let me talk to you about something really quick, just to interrupt him, because I'm scared, I'm stressed out of my mind, I don't like this.
So,
Over here was like, oh, I'm stressed, I don't know how I'm going to do on this final, oh no, I'm going to be super sick and whatnot, and then he just turns up, he's like, I got 100. I'm like, cool, man.
So no, what
the
scared
best.
me? What scared me is getting there, because I drive, and I'm feeling like a pile of bones driving to school. You know, a college campus is known for its fantastic drivers, right?
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of bad drivers out that day,
Well,
and I was
it's-
like, am I gonna die?
That's scarier in the state of Illinois because you legally must stop at a crosswalk if somebody is present. Like, you can get a serious ticket if you don't do that. So, and there's like a million crosswalks where our campus was. So, there was a lot of times when just students would just like, they'd just go.
Oh yeah, that's scary. Oh, sorry, I did the ending song there. Oh yeah. Is Sunday part of the weekend? I think so. I don't know. It's confusing, but anyway, yeah, the final went better than expected, but I don't know. I guess I was more just worried that I wouldn't have enough time to study for it, and I just did whoop, you know. That was my week. Being sick, not playing any games besides Fortune Street, and doing the finals.
Yeah?
Yes. Okay, Carl.
I guess it's my turn,
Let's
isn't it?
let's deploy the sewage story once again.
Well, obviously you've known. I explained the whole sewage story and all that stuff for the past week and stuff. This week,
I think it's worth to mention because we're on the podcast to at least have an explanation out why you're not doing Carl's Miss on the channel. I think that's what I mean.
oh yeah, no, okay. So here's the thing with the Carl's Miss is that I basically looked at it and I said to myself, this is just kind of ruined, and I don't feel like catching up halfway back into it. So I just kind of was like, it's a really good idea, and there's no reason why it can't happen again at some point. It's just not gonna happen this Christmas. We have to let it go.
Yeah, we gotta find another holiday with a countdown. Unfortunately, there isn't any.
So instead, I decided that it's better to cancel it and be done with it. So I actually have been kind of laxing about throughout most of the week. I've been waiting to get the rest of my room kind of finished up. I will be done with this room tomorrow. That is for sure. I just now I'm in the clean up the final stuff and setup phase, because we got the really critical thing done today, which is to install the outlet. That is now available for me to plug my computer into, which is very much so important, because I'm tired of looking at this long extension or long power extender thing, strip thing, running all the way across my room. So now that is done, I will start that tomorrow morning as I wake up, get that all unplugged and replugged back in and make it all look nice. I have the nice opportunity to rewire everything to as fit and as best as possible with all the consoles and stuff, so that'll be nice again. Oddly enough, as much as I was really upset with what happened, my room got hit the least. There's obviously we lost the carpet and a lot of that stuff, and all the molding's gonna have to be ripped up at some point. But we bleached it and cleaned it for the time being. So does it look like crap? Yes. Does it smell like crap? No. And that's kind of the more important thing, I would think, because I'm not sitting here just like breathing in
the chemicals,
breathing in typhoid essentially. So that is that half that story. For this week, I did work on a couple songs for the quote unquote album. If it decides,
which
to
I'm
happen.
unsure will have an actual album cover even. This whole album thing is really up in the air if how it's gonna go about, because I don't know if I have the time to make another album cover for this one, because it's like I wasn't expecting you to actually push for it, considering
Yeah, so I still have a lot of work I gotta get done with, like actually doing commercials and stuff for the New Year event. But I don't see that being a problem. I have like the ideas are set, which is the very most important part. Once I get the ideas in, then I can start kind of building the ideas into place. It's kind of like it's actually the process of how I write, or not necessarily cover and write music, I guess, if you will. Once the idea is there, then I can just work off the idea. So there was that, but I ended up deciding that this week I'll just start a new game, which we played a little bit of Fortune Street, and then I started up Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and it's been going okay, I guess.
Are you enjoying it more than Adventure, like 1?
Yeah, I've always liked Battle or Adventure 2 better than 1, for sure.
Mm.
I grew up with Adventure 2 as a kid, so I have nostalgic
we
factor.
talked about before. It's the type. Is it one of the games where you got the second before the first?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's me too.
The nice thing is
So
that
going backwards,
you don't
really
have to play the first one to experience the second one.
Yeah, but you miss out on. Oh no!
You're correct. That is truth. But it's not the end of the world.
Well,
So.
the end of the world happens in both games, essentially.
Yes, you're not wrong. I suppose it's true.
That's definitely my favorite thing about Sonic Adventure 1. That we saved everyone and the whole town's destroyed.
Yeah. We saved everyone. Oh. Oh no. Big Dragon. Oh no.
That's Night Dragon's new alternate account, Big Dragon.
Big Dragon.
Okay, so
then.
so besides that, you're dental, right?
Yeah, everybody wants to hear about the dentist story again, because you guys haven't heard enough about it. So Thursday I went in to have the remaining 3 wisdom teeth taken out, which took about 2 hours to do. The process of how it went is they put a whole bunch of drugs into my mouth through application of evil.
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 Lemons.
And then he was like, all right, so in order to get to the bottom tooth, which is the most problematic tooth, I'm going to rip the top tooth out first. That took 5 seconds because he just went in there and he was like, yank. And he was like, all right, that one's done. Let's work on the bottom one. I was like, oh, okay. I hope the bottom one's going to go quicker. And then it didn't because it took like an hour.
Oof.
I
can't imagine being there for an hour. Sitting there while he's like, ding, ding, ding.
It wasn't so much that, is he had to saw part of it. Like,
right.
it was so ingrown into the other tooth that, like, he had to cut a chunk of it out so he could get the rest of the tooth to pull. And he was like, I'm having the most difficulty with your teeth because it just was so strong and didn't want to get pulled. Like, he would just sit there and he was just, like, yanking and yanking and yanking. And I'm like, either get it out or something. So
I need morphine.
Yeah. You need like acid to melt the thing out.
Oh, okay.
So there is now, there was pain. The most pain I actually feel now is in that area, more or less, along those kind of the teeth next to it, by that area, and going down my face, almost down to my chin on the right side, like the bottom lower area cheek. That's where I'm feeling the most of the pain. The other side was also super simple, so I don't feel any pain over there. The hardest thing I am dealing with right now is eating things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Especially because you like to, typically I like to eat through the, on the sides,
Yeah, I do too.
That's the point.
So I can't do that for about another week now, and then I'll be able to, kind of do it.
So he's eating food through needles and tubes right now.
I'm not doing that. Actually, it's weird because after all that work, I decided that I didn't really need the painkillers.
Again,
I've only really taken one painkiller, and that was actually today because I felt like it was a little more annoying than usual, and I just kind of it's one of those things where I think it's gonna get a little worse and then it's just gonna get better. I think since I see Dolly saying that she's never had them out, if you do get them out, my best advice for you is number 1. Close your eyes. No, that's it. Just close your eyes.
Number 2, count to 3.
Like,
number
the biggest
3?
thing, the biggest anxiety I think most people get isn't so much that it's like, all right, I'm just gonna. There's one of 2 ways you could do this. They can either just knock you out. You can say no, and they'll just knock you out with gas, or whatever, morphine or whatever they knock you out with these days, or they have the local needle.
Or
which is the route I chose, which keeps you conscious through the whole thing. The numbing does so much for you that you will not feel a thing. Let me repeat that. You will not feel a thing.
But you'll see everything.
If you open your eyes, which I don't recommend doing. So.
Or, idea 3, get a boxer to punch all your teeth out.
And I guess you could go the hockey way.
And just accept your fate. I know dentures aren't any better, though. I mean, if you only got gums, there's a lot of pain there. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. Personally, I have all my teeth intact. So
you're going to keep your wisdom teeth?
I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they intersect. Well, hopefully.
The only thing that sucked about the numbing is that after I got all done, I don't like having no control over my mouth like that. Like, I was just sitting there like this, talking kind of like this because I couldn't talk any more so because I couldn't feel my bottom lip.
It's a caveman voice.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, with they also have the numbing agent too, like the initial numbing agent, which they rub over the spot, so it numbs it. So, I mean, you'll feel something. Don't ever let them say this won't hurt, because it will. Let it hurt. It won't hurt that much. That's where you need to just understand is it will not hurt that much, but it will hurt, but not that much at all.
Dentists like to do needles differently than doctors.
Well,
Doctors are like,
and then here's the thing too, like, there's you should know this out of any of the rest of us. The code of all doctors and nurses and dentists is that you do no harm. Like they're not necessarily there to hurt you. So they want you to actually like kind of be happy when you leave. They don't want you to like be in a bad mood.
But what I was gonna say is dentists do it like a slow.
Yeah. And it's slower if you watch it, so that's why I highly recommend just close your eyes. I'm surprised you would even try applying makeup if your mouth was numb. That seems silly.
You gotta put the contours on. What are you crazy? I gotta look good with the chipmunk cheeks.
So that's been my week for the most part is learning how to eat again and
bleeding everywhere.
No, actually only the first day was just the really bad day.
Well, that's how it was last time too.
You know what the absolute worst was the gauze.
Gauze.
There was a point where I had the gauze in. It was actually good because it was long enough. It started to really hurt, and I literally left them out. I'm like, I'm done. I don't even care if I just bleed out. Like, whatever. I'm done.
Bleed out.
I can't have these things in there. They just hurt too much. So, but that happened to be the point where everything was fixed. So, no.
So if you guys don't know, the G in VG don't stands for gauze.
Yeah.
We still need to know what the V stands for. We'll get there eventually. So that was basically our weeks, right? Nothing. I want to go back real quick because I think Dolly was asking. You could still maybe play some of the games as one-offs. What were you thinking about that? Because like, sure, these games are set in the schedule, but they're not the only games you don't have completed on the backlog, right?
That's true. The only thing is that I suppose if I'm gonna do it again, it'll probably be a year from now, and then I'll actually make it really happen. Like I'll be really set for this, and hopefully, there won't be a flood, and I'll have 3 extra more teeth that have to come out during that point. But the only thing is that those games were a little bit more designed to be beaten in a night, which I guess is fine if I decide to literally do them as one-offs, but. In this case, I'll just stick to what I was originally just going to do on that schedule, which is some of those games. So, like, I was considering after I finished Sonic Adventure 2, like, going to, not Counter-Strike, Chrono Trigger.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll be a blast. Wonder what ending he'll get.
A blast in the past.
Playing blank games that, oh, you can't even say suck on Moonbase Alpha, by the way.
No, you can't. I didn't understand that. You can't say suck.
And you're in space. There's a lot of, vacuumal forces out there.
Which means that things suck.
Hey. So, if anyone has any other topics they want to talk about, we'll get there if you guys, suggest it.
Speed.
Anything. What's popping?
Let's talk about the joys of practice.
Really? I was actually gonna ask you if we had already talked about that.
No, I don't think we did.
Because I got the feeling we kind of did, and then we didn't get indefinite.
I think we were going to talk about it, but we didn't. We were like, let's just save it for next week.
Okay, which is now 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So I guess we'll talk about that. Then we'll move on to the topic I wanted to talk about. All right. So the joys of practice. What does you introduce this one?
Okay, so I figured if we were gonna have a podcast about the joys of practice, I was curious more so because like I know you when I suggested it, you were just like, well, I just draw, and like I thought about that. I'm like, no, there's more to it. He's not saying he just doesn't know how to go about it. Like, think back to when you first drew. Like,
I can get in depth into when I started to accumulate the basics and fundamentals of art, but honestly, practice is right now just drawing things.
right, and that's fine, but and because like when I practice music, there's times when we call it noodling around, which is debated as not really being practice and more of just like the fun aspect of it because you're not necessarily, I guess, learning stuff, but at the same time you kind of are. Like, there's just this weird balance of it, and I've heard of artists like visual artists, if you will, who like they'll draw circles or they'll doodle squares and stuff like that to kind of get better at stuff. You have an art style where you have color applied and different things. So I guess like obviously you failed at a few things before in your life, have you not? Like you've drawn some things and you're
No, I
like,
don't know. I'm a pretty perfect being.
okay. Okay.
That's what you would say if this conversation was flipped, and I was like, you've had some mistakes in the past, right?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I'm a pro gamer.
Yeah, but it's not as funny when you say it. So
Okay. Okay, but yeah, there's definitely sometimes, especially I'll talk about this in particular. Paint.net, the program that I use that's free,
right.
was not where it was like 2.0. At 3.0, they refined the lines a bit. I don't know this pen pressure yet for tablets since I don't use a tablet. Like before, boy, howdy, the lines did not look good. And I think by having bad lines, I definitely learned a few things about drawing with a mouse through that. Like, okay, if this line looks bad, what if I like thicken it and stuff like that?
See, that was something I thought was really interesting too, is that you draw with a mouse. Like, did you always just draw with a mouse and you don't ever just like draw on a pen and paper?
Oh, no, I draw with my avatar right now is just a hand drawn thing
Okay.
that I edited. So yeah, I pick up the pen and paper. Don't trust me. I mean, I don't think. I think if you want to be a digital artist at all, you definitely got to practice on traditional. Same can't be said for traditional. I think you can't be like you grow better if you paint digitally and physically. I don't know. I don't know if that has like an inverse relationship. But I think I definitely draw differently on a mouse than I do with my pen.
Yeah, well, I mean, like some of them are like the people that are actually making their art into, I guess, a profession, if you will. A lot of the times they'll have like a big giant drawing tablet or just a drawing monitor, if you will.
Oh yeah.
So I've seen that. I don't understand how people use the art tablet things. Like, how do you draw?
That's training. So that's something I haven't really practiced, but it's basically hand-eye coordination that goes on there. But I don't like that.
See, I feel like that's an extra bit of practice that's just unnecessary in a sense, I guess.
But I mean, wouldn't the same be said for mouse?
I suppose you're right on that. Yeah, you're right.
But deep down, I think
But I guess
I'm holding myself back.
Here's the question in that
okay.
sense then, because do you like drawing on mouse?
At times, yeah. But I think that's just because I'm accustomed to it. I don't know if I can pull myself away from that bias anymore.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also holding myself back. I would probably draw a lot faster if I did have a tablet. But I don't have 400 laying around. Like, I'm not gonna buy a Cintiq because I actually don't really like Wacom stuff because I think they're overpriced. But I definitely want something like it. There's something called an Oogie. I've heard some good things about that. I like the name too. But yeah, those are like 300, 400. I don't have that laying around right now, but I would definitely like to upgrade my digital interface in the future.
You'd like to upgrade to a super mouse, is what you're saying.
So super mouse, like a gaming mouse with the little side buttons and all that nasty stuff.
No, it's just it's the ability to plug in the Mario Paint mouse because that's a Super Nintendo mouse.
Oh,
Obviously, duh.
sorry, my bad. I'm so uncultured. But yeah, definitely that, and then maybe change the program. I don't know. Paint.net can only do so much. I've had to put plugins in to add some more stuff. And would you say the same with you? So I'm gonna flip this to you now. So do you think there's your quality would change if you had more expensive equipment, or no?
Are you talking about like for musician stuff?
Yeah.
So I'm at a point where a lot of my equipment already is expensive as it is. Like all my equipment is defined as professional equipment.
Yeah.
For like actual playing. Like my trombones, those are professional. Tuba's professional. The euphonium's declared an intermediate, but I could easily play that as a professional. My trumpet's professional. My guitars are all professional. My drum set, it gets the job done kind of thing, you know. So there's not really much of I need new equipment to, I guess, play better or feel better about myself. At this point, it's more of just like it's all additive in a sense. And everything now, 100% of my skill comes from just being literally sitting down with the instrument and practicing. I haven't been able to practice brass too much, which is unfortunate because of the teeth. So this is I think the last pollings that I'll have for a while. Hopefully, I'll be able to get back into the practicing aspect of it. Because I have a degree in it. I had to, we took practicing a little, I guess, more intensively. In a sense, there's a lot more, I guess, that goes into practicing for an instrument than this is why I kind of wanted to bring it up, because I felt like you would have more methods of practicing. Like when I practice, a lot of things can happen. I don't have a stable, this is what I do every time I pick up my instrument. If I did that, I would be bored out of my mind. And
I don't think that's the same with art either. So
yeah,
just wanna say that.
well, a lot of musicians do have like they do this first. For a brass instrument, you have the instrument itself and the mouthpiece. Those are detachable, so a lot of brass musicians, before they even play their instrument, they will detach the mouthpiece and play on that first. Doing what would be called lip slurs and stuff, which is where you kind of just vibrate the lips on the mouthpiece, making a noise going up and down, up and down, up and down, kind of to warm up the mouthpiece or warm up your lips and the mouthpiece and whatnot, get your airflow kind of going. There's practice techniques where like you literally just breathe. My teacher, when he was teaching me stuff, he taught me a little bit of yoga. I didn't really follow any of that because I didn't really have any interest in yoga, but some of the techniques I can definitely see being applicable, especially for a tuba, which 90% of the practice is through air. And yoga is a method of relaxing oneself, so it should make the airflow easier to go through. But like getting more into the more technical like stuff of it is like practicing scales, practicing long tones, all that kind of stuff to improve the tone of your instrument and all that stuff. Which it plays a lot of different things into it. And then there comes the issue of like when you come to an actual piece, there's a lot of talk on how one practices that, how one looks for stuff to kind of improve oneself in practice of that. So you'll look at a passage of music and you'll say, this is really hard, how am I ever going to play that? Which I say on a daily basis, no matter what instrument I pick up. It's just how it is. And I think the first thing that comes to my mind every time I have something like that is, do I have the motivation to press on and actually essentially, I guess, defeat the musical passage in front of me and make it playable? And sometimes I say yes and sometimes I say no. The no, I feel, comes more so from I just don't have an interest in it right now. And I think identifying that interest is really important. However, it can be kind of a sin in itself because, like, when you look at a whole bunch of suggestion boxes that people have graciously actually suggested, and you haven't done a single one of them, it kind of sucks for everybody else who really wants to listen to music. So,
What do you think of my recent suggestion, by the way?
what did you suggest?
I don't even know. I said I look at the suggestion box and I don't even know what he posted.
I listened to it for a second, but because I haven't played the games, see, that's part of that.
But that's the
issue.
first town, is the thing.
I know, but you have to understand. I don't remember anything from Sun or Moon. I need to sit down and just play it, and not play it before bed. So
I wanna get back real quick because I do think that you could still create anything even if you have cheap equipment. Like that's what I'm doing. Paint.net is free. This mouse was probably like $10, but so in regards to the tablet situation that Evening was talking about, there are some good tablets definitely for just like $20 even. But I really am interested. I'm more inclined to like these higher end ones where you could actually draw on the screen, because those aren't the cheap ones. Those are the higher priced ones for sure. The reason being, I don't know if, I guess this might be a little like, this is definitely stubborn. Like, I don't know if I want to invest in learning how to draw with a tablet at this point, you know, not looking at the screen and not where my hand is. I mean, you could train yourself to do that, and I think I missed out on the boat because I definitely had a lot of opportunities to do that, and I just didn't for some reason. I don't know why I didn't. But that's why I kind of just want to be like, all right, let me just get the one where I can draw on the screen, so I could draw like I do traditionally and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a little weird, I think. That kind of dissonance in my thinking there.
And as far as the two main types of bases, I would say there's more than just the two types of main bases. There's the jazz and precision pickup style bases that you can definitely get, but there's also other types. You know, there's 4-string versus 5-string versus 6-string. There's 8-string bases, which double up the strings and do create a very unique sound. There's fretless bases. There's unique.
All your bass belong to us.
Yeah, all bass belong to us. There's the ever so scary upright bass. I know there's a couple of other styles of bass too. I believe there's single coil jazz basses. There's what's it called? Active pickup basses versus passive pickup basses, which means that you put a 9-volt battery in there, and the idea between the two in those cases is that the active bass has a hotter pickup, which means that the bass is going to rumble for a lot longer, and the passive bass it doesn't rumble for as long, but has, I guess, a different unique sound to it.
Do you have a preference?
I have a passive and an active. I use the active because that's the 5-string, and now that I play the 5-string, I play that one a lot more than the 4-string. But they do have unique sounds that I like to use both of them for. So, so probably the active one because it does sound quite a bit more powerful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I would assume you would switch to the other one if you want a more subtle sound, right?
Yeah.
Like, say you're going to cover Dragon Roost Island, you would probably use that one, I'm thinking.
I would probably use the passive one.
Because the bass line is there, but I don't think it's intrusive. But you do notice if it's not there.
Yeah, the passive one has like a more subtler sound and is a little backed off, where the active one definitely wants to be in your face a little bit more. But both are, I guess, in a sense, jazz style pickups, but the active one is actually humbuckers, if I remember correctly, and the passive one is single coils. The difference between the single coil, obviously, is that you'll see, if you look at a pickup, it's the thing that is at in the bass or the body of the guitar, the middle thing it's like a line across the strings underneath the strings. It basically it's basically the acoustics of the bass, just redefined into an electric. And what that means is that a single coil means that there's one set of those pickups, and a humbucker means that they jam two sets of the pickups together. The humbuckers generally create more of a subtler kind of enclosed tone, where the singles are more of a opener tone, but the trade-off is that you get a little bit more buzz in the single. So there's a lot of there's a lot out there. Same for guitars.
I would assume that Seinfeld, they use the open one then, right, or something.
So here's the thing about the Seinfeld.
Well, it's a synthesis. It's I know it's a
synthesizer.
Yeah, I know, but like, so say you're gonna do a cover of it, you would use the active one, right?
I would probably use active single coils. That'd probably be the best sound you can get, but it's all up to debate on how you want to do it. If you ask every bassist, they'll probably be like, "Oh, you should do it this way. Oh, you should do it that way." So
that's all preference. I would believe.
Pretty much.
So let's get into the method then of. So say I'm actually going to practice. I'm not, something I definitely lack in is background art. I want to learn. I want to use perspective more effectively with like backgrounds and stuff. So I think if I were to explain how I would practice, I would pull up a lot of images of scenery I'd like to capture. I'd like find a lot of references and cross-reference that, and then create your own thing. You'd have to refer to a lot of tutorials too. I think that's how a lot of art goes right now in the digital age. You use a lot of other people's tutorials and stuff, and you mix it in with references, and you also mix it in with your own knowledge and ability, and then you just keep at it for a while. I think that's the best way to go about learning how to draw a new thing in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I think recently I've just been into drawing characters, which I think is limiting me for sure. I definitely want to diversify the dynamic of my poses and stuff like that. I just haven't been doing it. I think it's because I've been sick and also doing college. So
yeah,
hopefully I have more time to work at it. So say how about you, Carl? So say you want to learn a new instrument, for example.
So I guess learning the new instrument kind of comes into it's difficult in a sense. Like it's all kind of subjective to what instrument it is. Like for brass, there's not the biggest difference for brass for the most part is the mouthpiece sizing. Most brass instruments you can kind of just pick up and play the same buttons in a sense, and you gotta get the same notes. I know it's a little bit more complicated than that, but in a sense it's also actually on the similar side of that. So learning a brass instrument, I think, also is one of the more time-consuming things, because you have to put the practice of the mouthpiece specifically down in order to get the instrument to actually sound. Like the trumpet, when I first started playing the trumpet a little bit more seriously, it's really difficult because, like, the only reason I want to play a trumpet is I want the high end. I don't have brass friends really that I can just call and be like, hey, can you play this for me? Because then I probably wouldn't have picked up trumpet and stuff. But since I don't have anybody to really, there's a reason why my band is called, Carl and Carl and Carl and Carl and Carl, or Carl's band.
And sometimes Brother 101.
Yeah.
What did he do again in that, by the way?
He played guitar on a solo. I asked him, do you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, sure, I guess. So, but the biggest thing for sure is the switch to the mouthpiece. I could pick up any of those mouthpieces now and have no problem getting it. It's just fatigue is the biggest thing that kicks in. The more you practice, the more comfortable you're able to hold notes for longer, and that is definitely the hardest thing to get over. Once you can get over that, then you can definitely just start playing the instrument a lot better. And
you could use that Instagram. You could use that Instagram video of me for someone with no practice, and then you just belt out a tune to show practice.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, I think
if
the biggest thing is the stabilization of a note on a brass instrument. Once you can get that first note and you can pick up the instrument and just continuously make that same note each time, then it becomes a lot easier because then you have a reference to go from.
Yeah.
It's just getting to that point because some people just don't understand it, and that's okay. Like, not everybody just can pick up everything and be good at it. You might it takes practice. Huh. A novel idea. A novelty idea.
Carl, I would definitely think that as a musician, do you find it would you find it difficult to know if you're improving, or would you record, like, because with art you could just pull up something you did a while ago on a piece of paper, whereas with music, unless you record it, it's kind of just you by ear, right?
Correct.
So what do you think of that? Oh,
so
hold on. Sorry, my sister might be locked out of the house. Let me check. Hello?
Going live with
Are you locked? All right, I'm gonna unlock the door.
You should leave her out there for 100 minutes.
Sorry. Well, you've got things to say, right, Carl?
Sure. I guess.
I'm sorry.
I guess I'll hold off on this wonderful topic here that we're talking about.
I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
I'll ask everybody how are you guys doing? Not my fault. The art critic was a meanie. Oh, and then we get to hear the sounds of Speed's phone. Oh, here he comes. He's coming.
I'm back.
Hi.
All right. Jeez. So, my parents always forget if we're out, and about.
Yeah. So, well then,
where were we?
Well, here's the question then. Well, why don't either of you have keys?
I do. She doesn't.
So, you know how hard
it's
it is
like
to make a key?
Well, it's like it shouldn't matter. We shouldn't have the door locked when a family member is outside.
It doesn't matter. Just get a pair of keys. Get a set of keys. It's like $3 at Ace Hardware. No excuse.
I already gave you $3 last week through bits.
Well, you don't even have to pay anything. You have a set. She doesn't.
Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's get back at it. Come on now. So good. Practice. Oh, do you have more to say about the brass and stuff?
Not that I can remember.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay. I think you were saying something and then you got interrupted, and I was going to say something and I forgot what you said.
I don't remember what I was going to say, but I want to talk about something Dolly said, and I think this might apply to us, or to you too. Does your own style come to you? So I think there are two things I want to talk about. I don't think you should seek out your own style. I think it should come naturally from studying, from practicing realism. I think is the best way to go about, because then you'll understand, like, okay, so if I just tinkle, what is it? Tinkle?
Tinkle? You gonna go to the bathroom?
Tinker. There you go. I had to think of Sims actually to remember that. If you tinker with like the base thing of anatomy and all that stuff, then you could get your own style eventually. But I think people seeking it out, this is the second part, will use it as a crutch for something that's just wrong. Well, so wrong is subjective, of course, but I'm saying, like, okay, I don't have I put my ears in this, like, too high, that's just my style. That's not, I think that's what a lot of people are using as a crutch, saying that it's their style although it doesn't work. It's a very touchy subject, but I think that's definitely something a lot of people aim for to defend their art is that it's my style. Do you follow? Or
So,
is this,
oh, excuse me. Hold on.
Does Kaya need to be let in? Did she not have a key?
I think I'm okay. Oh, it felt like something was coming up. So as a musician, it's really weird because like you need to learn kind of like how to play in different styles. People, you know, like if you're gonna go out, especially if you're gigging too, and you go to, you know, they want you to play like Louis Armstrong music or something like that. You know, they don't want you to, I guess, play in your own personal style of, you know, freeform jazz Louis Armstrong. Like people are gonna be like, what? I don't feel like dancing to that. So sometimes you kind of have to put your style in the corner while you play somebody else's style in a sense. But at the same time, when I'm looking at a style, it's something I really just don't ever think about at all. I don't know. I feel like there's so much sound out there that going to try and find a significantly different style and sound within everybody else is just kind of a wasted venture. And I think you're better off just playing just something that sounds good than something that sounds good in your ears and has reputation within other people's ears. Like,
I think that's what I'm trying to say, but I didn't really portray it well. I didn't mean to say realism. I mean, you need a basis. You need a point of reference before you need to learn how to do it right before you do it wrong. I think is what style is. In a weird, I think that's a weird way of putting it.
That is a weird way of putting it because most people learn how to do it wrong before they do it right.
But I'm saying to learn how to you do it right, then to do it wrong is to find your own style. But I don't think people should act like say you're a new artist. I don't think you should start like, okay, this is like my own style. I think by doing that, you definitely create this mentality of hampering yourself. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. I don't know. You kind of went in circles there.
Because it's a hard style. It's definitely a hard.
Yeah, it's something like I really didn't like studying styles at all when I was going through college. I was just like I whatever. When I get a piece of music, I play it to. I play it, and they either say that sucked, play it different, or that was fine, and that's okay for me. That's kind of the way I look at it. It either sucks or it's great. Play it great. Nobody's just gonna hire to play it like crap, you know? Like nobody's gonna hire you to draw like crap. You know, you're gonna draw great because you want to draw great. So I think styles are. I think styles are more of an opinion than anything.
Yeah, I think they're arbitrary. I definitely think that because. I think that's what clouds a lot of people because I'm not gonna say I'm like the best artist around or anything. I just have these opinions and I'm saying that I think style overall it's good to have, but it definitely clouds your vision. I think that's the
well I find it really it messes with the musician too because when they learn how to play music, I guess, in a sense. You know, I see a lot of musicians, you know, a lot of those people online that post videos, you know, yeah, they're really good, but there's also the sense of they're really good at that one song because that's all they ever practice, in a sense, and they try to practice as perfect and whatnot to the style, which is good and all, and it's cool that you have attained that skill, but sometimes it becomes, it's like being really good at 1-1 in Mario. You practice your butt off in that one level, and you do nothing else but practice that one level because you saw somebody else, I guess, do good at that level, and then you get to 1-2. Like, presumably with all the skills that they've learned in 1-1, they should not have any problems with 1-2. But because they never practiced 1-2 or they never really opened their mind to 1-2, there's that sense of struggle of they focus too much on trying to work on one thing and not all of it too.
I'm actually going to say this. That's a really good analogy, Carl. That's actually pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't say that often of you in analogies. But I agree with that. And I think that's the main point I'm trying to make. The fact that if you're so set on finding a style, you're going to miss out on all these other aspects of your own art. I think that's the line of bottom.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, we keep it. That's why he's a pro gamer, folks. He makes video game analogies. If you spend all your time playing City Escape, how are you gonna do well on Rico Harbor, huh?
Yeah.
Rico Harbor, completely different games. Metal Harbor is what I meant to say. If you spend all your time playing Mario games, how can you be good at Sonic games? I'm just pushing it. Speaking of pushing, I'm noticing you're using you're expanding.
So for the people that are listening out there and not watching the podcast, I'm just. There was this, so we like to put pictures on the screen, really, just random things, just to kind of have something on the screen instead of just nothing. And there's this picture of endless ocean on the screen, and there was a white square or white rectangle at the bottom of it, and I tried to just stick it out, and everybody's getting upset that it's still there, so I just made it bigger. The end. That's the story. Anyways, back to practicing. So
I don't want to detract people from being original, though. I think that's that adds to the weirdness of talking about style, because I think when you want to be original, I think that's actually more important. But I also think you need to have the basis. The base is
and there's also a lot that can be said about like people that study full, like in music, there's the music theory side of it all, which from another aspect is the ruining side of music. You can sound really fantastic by being as technical as possible, without any sort of style whatsoever. It's crazy how good you can make that sound. And the argument towards that I would put out there is all the music that you can hear through MIDI and whatnot. Like, if you really work at that MIDI stuff, you can make that stuff sound fantastic. However, the problem is that there's absolutely no style to some of that music, even though it sounds perfect in every way possible, except for the fact that there's no style. And this comes from an argument too that the basis of human factored music versus computer factored music. And I'm not talking about like the whole there's no skill in Skrillex's music or anything like that. Like, obviously there is. There's all that programming that goes into it. Even Skrillex has said it best. You give it a try. And I thought about that for a second after you said it, and I'm like, man, that stuff is hard as heck to do. Like, it is. Some of it, I feel like some of it's even a waste too. And I'm not saying it's a waste because it sucks. I'm saying it's a waste because, when you factor in 1,000, I guess, programmable things within 1 second of music, like, who's going to listen to, 90% of that and be able to process that in their mind? So, but what I was getting more so towards is, the human imperfections and stuff like that also, I guess, create the style within itself as well, versus, the perfection of just electronic music. And I'm talking like more so, let's say, an acoustic drum set, with like the big toms and the big bass drum and all that stuff with the actual cymbals, versus an electric bass or electric drum set with, pads where you can set whatever sound you want it to be, or even the triggers that are out there, which are also, in a sense, having their own argument as well as being cheating and whatnot. So, and it becomes even worse of a fact when you start throwing the word cheating out there, because then everybody starts to get more paranoid on what even becomes, musical cheating at that point. Yeah, and what's just cheating.
Like that goes with digital art too. Like, oh, is it cheating that I can Control Z all the time? Yes, it is actually. Okay, that is cheating. You can't Control Z in real life.
But no, I mean really, like that. This is still real life using Control Z. Like,
Yes.
that's not cheating. It's
but
called an eraser. You know, I mean
But
it's called whiteout for paint. Does it look like crap? Yeah.
Then what's the point?
But I mean, like, at least
if it looks like crap, then we.
But I mean, like, it's something. It's better than
using
whiteout
whiteout for painting. Bob Ross is like, oops, okay, that was a mistake. Let me pull out the whiteout, and he pulls out the small brush and goes, all right, and that's fixed.
I mean, but you know, honestly, you could kind of white out like a more of the section, I guess.
I know what you mean by whiteout. I just like the idea that you're talking about the ones you use for like.
Oh yeah,
writing
no.
I just think it's funny.
If you develop a skill to be able to do that and understand how to put this talent into use and make something out of it, then how is it cheating?
It's like us using when we play certain games on the channel, don't we? Isn't there a debate what's cheating and what isn't?
Well, I mean, it's this whole thing of like, is save stating cheating? Like, to me, save stating is cheating, and that's not something that you also have to take into consideration that what people consider cheating isn't so much so that needs to be taken like you suck because you think that you're right in a sense. It's more so like I look at save stating as cheating to myself, and that's the biggest thing that you also have to kind of take into consideration too when they say that's cheating, is that they might not be saying you're the one that's cheating, they're just comparing themselves to that and saying that that's cheating for me. Like, for example, I'm not one that makes a lot of electronic music at all, and that's because I find it as a cheat. Like, I think it's cheating because I have the skills to play physical instruments and acoustic instruments and whatnot, and I deem it myself as the joy of music to make the music primarily through that method of sorts. So when I'm not calling Skrillex or whoever makes music that way as a cheat. I'm just saying it's cheating because that's not my method, and I guess in the full circle of argument, that's also not my style of music.
That's like I remember watching a video in art class, like I think it was like middle art class. I forget what you call them, but this woman was painting this fantastic drawing, and then she looks at the camera and she says, If you're gonna smudge, you deserve to get put on the street and shot." Because
oh god,
I kind of I don't agree with that intensely, but I do see what she's saying. She's saying using blending stubs is definitely a cheat in a sense to replace going over the circle with layered form and stuff. What you're instead doing is blurring it and smudging it to create the same effect, right? But I'm not saying it's cheating because it's cheating. I'm saying it's cheating because it's I think that it's not because I do it sometimes too, but I think it is definitely I find it in a sense cheating in that there is another way to do it. I think that's what Carl's kind of saying too. Like, I have this own method of making music. If I were to use this other method, I think that I'm cheating myself, not cheating, the medium, but just cheating yourself as who you are.
Yeah.
Right. It's a weird. Yeah, I'm agreeing with the evening in that cheating.
It's a completely.
I think
bad
it just
word.
say. Yeah, a better word would be like it's not in our.
If anything, it's probably more sort of a bullied word that. I don't know.
Yeah, you're pointing out that that's not the word.
It's a bullied word, but
use.
like if you fully deny the word, then you're gonna run into the issue of people like actually cheating, like literally copying, pasting somebody with forgery.
Like a Vanilla Ice's.
Yeah, see that would be a real definition of cheating.
I think what we mean is just it's not in our it's not a tool in our shed. I She was looking kind of dumb with a finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on the forehead. Okay. This was not a good discussion topic. Evenings like you guys are.
Yeah.
Well, no, but at the end of the day, this is all open to debate, and it's all up to you how you view, because art is as subjective as it is objective, and that's the difficult thing about it. You know what I mean? Or do you agree with that?
No, art is perfect. It's got to be perfect all day, all around and up and down.
Up and down and all around.
It's got to be perfect. There is a sense of like perfection. I feel like has to happen though. Sometimes, like I will get upset if something is not perfect, and then it's like I gotta play it again until it becomes perfect.
Oh yeah, that's just anything.
It's just that's just everything.
Like like what's an example of that recently that I've done? Oh, when I drew Rob his new avatar,
yeah,
I was like, it doesn't look good if you don't have it zoomed in. How do I fix this? I ended up not fixing it, but that I still had that thought in my head, like, how do I make this look better from afar? And I never just got around to doing it. Don't tell Rob.
Wow, man. No, that's okay. I mean, sometimes like that kind of stuff kind of happens too, where it's just like there's a way to make it perfect. It's just not perfect for whatever reason.
Picasso has a sense of form, I think. That's but it's definitely I think I always find Picasso's work hard to tackle through the fundamentals of art, because it's kind of what he did. If you look through self-portraits of himself, like he had the fundamentals down, and then he swapped to I forget what you call his style. It's not absurdist, but it's not. It's definitely
Absurdist.
it's definitely crazy go nuts.
I don't know why, but I kind of like Picasso for some strange.
I like
reason.
Picasso.
Like it's not. Obviously, it's not like my favorite art to look at, but it's definitely. I don't know if I'd call it surrealism. I guess it's surrealism because it's not realism. That's for sure. But it's just, I don't know. There's just something about all the weird, messy looking art that's like, I like this.
Oh, we just want to say we definitely agree. We don't have the word that we want to replace cheating with in our lexicon.
There is also one more thing I think that should be.
And I didn't even say cheating to begin with. That was Carl.
That should be thrown out there too with that whole discussion as well. Is that it is invoking, I guess, a negative sense, but that's art for you. Like it's supposed to invoke emotion within oneself. So, one who's mad because they feel that is cheating could also be in itself, and weirdly enough, art in itself. Boom, mind blown.
I wasn't following that. It's I think that's why I was kind of veering away, because I don't know if I've collected all my thoughts about how I view art, and I don't think anyone has. well, I think when you're about to die, you'll be like, all right, yeah, I've done art. I don't know. It's a weird topic. Hey, that has nothing to do with anything. So, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Want to move on to the next topic now, or do you have final words?
I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, that was weird though. I wasn't expecting us to get into that, so I wasn't prepared. But then again, that's what this podcast was. What was I need to go back and see what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna move. This might be our last topic, because it's supposed to be a little shorter.
It can be however long it wants to be.
Recently, actually just today, my favorite. Marcus, I just want to point out. Could you, not just.
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, funny meme, I guess. Haha, for no reason. I'm feeling. So I wanted to talk about this. The super best friends. They're a Let's Player that's been around for 9 years ago or so, and I'm definitely melancholy because they just announced today that they're not friends anymore, and they're gonna separate and do their own stuff, right? And I was thinking back to how they shaped my sense of humor as well as you, and how they go about doing it through how you and them went about doing it through being a duo. Although with super best friends in here too, it's not always a duo, but that's the main style. What's the what's the word, like,
It's
mechanic? Prerogative.
It's the bread and butter.
The bread and butter. Yeah. So I guess what I want to talk to about is what do you think of the pros and cons? Because you and Troy, for example. Oh, what I meant to say, I figured out the word dynamic, right? How do you view that dynamic of working with someone else as opposed to being on your own? And what do you think of the pros and cons of it?
So believe it or not, I did actually think about this a little bit to talk about this. The biggest thing that I always focused on when working with a duo versus working by myself is that when I'm by myself, the more and I was actually, now I remember why I came up to this, because I was thinking about like the fact that I haven't streamed on my channel for the past few days. I was like, I could never just give this up. I just like doing this. I like talking to people. But what I was getting more so is that when I'm by myself, I find that the dynamic is that I am more so in the moment to talk to people. Like I'm more engaged in chat and whatnot, specifically because that's the only person I have to talk to. Whereas the dynamic I feel when I'm with somebody is that I can never find myself really just talking with chat, I guess, and I find myself having to really focus more so on the other. For you, for example, right now, I'm kind of straying away from chat, and I know Evie's had a lot of good points and stuff like that, but I have to apologize to you as well. I have not also been reading a lot of what you've been saying too. It isn't just because I don't want to read what you're saying, it's just that I'm having a little bit more of a struggle kind of reading. Like, I've been trying to read this. I don't know, the only reason I brought this up is that statement that you've been saying, and I keep only getting past like the first line, and then I have to like refocus on speed, because that's the dynamic I find myself more engaged towards, is that the co-streamer or the co-host is the most important thing. In a chain of commands, it always starts out is integrity of stream is always first and foremost, and then single stream would be then the chat, and then I guess the game. But it's a reverse, I guess, when I'm with a co-host, because then it becomes the co-host and the game, and then the chat for some reason. I find that dynamic, keeping it that methodology of like that is more important to me, because I end up being more engaged with the person that I'm hanging out with. And I feel that if I stuck and focused the chat, it's more so I might as well just have him be in the chat himself and not even there.
Which I am typically anyway.
Yeah. So.
I wanted to focus a little more though on, because best friends, they aren't very much a streamer as they are a Let's Player. So I wanted to go back to when you were Let's Playing with Troy, and there was no chat. You see. So I wanted to see how you compare, like, okay, so you're playing Spyro alone versus you're playing, say you're playing Spyro with Troy instead. How would that go, you think? Or how do you view that?
So I think it's really interesting. I always have liked playing, like, if I'm going to have a game over or hang out with somebody to stream or do, in this case, a Let's Play, like, for a video, I really despise playing single player games with friends. There's just something about it that I feel myself doesn't just gel as much more so as a multiplayer game does. I feel like the responsibilities of two people having their own interaction within a game is much more appeasing than one person focuses while the other one basically just says, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. Because within me and Troy, that's kind of what we do, and we're okay with that, probably more so than we'll agree to be. But like, there's that same sense of like, then we're just gonna switch over and it's gonna do the same thing of you suck, you suck, you suck, and I don't know. I just feel like the interaction's all wrong. Like, I'd rather two people be playing at the same time versus one person playing a Spyro game and the other person watching. I do know, however, that Troy is kind of the reverse when it comes to that. He really likes sitting down and watching me play games like that. So it's been this kind of a weird mix of focusing that, I suppose. The only reason I suppose that we did like the Mario parties and stuff is because we knew that people really liked that more so than when we did stuff like when we did Sonic Adventure 2 for the channel. We really didn't care for that, and that's why it just stopped, because we didn't enjoy it at all. Partially because we were each sucking too. So
I don't remember it. I think that's how it goes. So that's something that's tackled, that we attempted to tackle. I haven't been uploading videos. It's a joke at this point. But
I need my fill of Speed Slasher. Unbelievable.
So what I wanted to point.
Oh, thanks for the bits, Chris. You're the best.
The thing I wanted to talk about on my end is that Johnny and I switch when we play the game. So in Harvest Moon, because I don't think you watched the Harvest Moon one, you probably just watched the Resident Evil where I just watched Johnny play. The Harvest Moon one, after every day we swap the controller to the other person, and I think what that allows for is, oh, so you think you're so good? Well, you play it, And I think that's that's the fun of it. Like when it's just constant, you suck, that's not fun, and I think that makes for a bad dynamic to begin with.
Sure.
What I think is fun is you suck. Here, Kevin, take the controller. And then Johnny looks at me and says, you suck. And then I hand it back to him, and the cycle repeats itself, but it's definitely more fresh than this monotone thing that I'm assuming you guys were experiencing when you were doing that. That being said, in Resident Evil, I don't always say Johnny sucks, but I don't know. I think I'm more open to just talk and comment on the game when I'm not the one playing it. I think that's how I view it.
Yeah, and that's also, I think, where the backseat gamer thing unfortunately unfolds from too, is that you were able to do that because you see a lot more things. It's, I find this happens a lot when I play Counter-Strike with people, is that I'll die first and then I'll watch somebody else, and you'll get into that, well, you didn't see them, you're stupid, and it's like, well, yeah, because you have much more focus and there's no pressure on you, so you're able to focus a little bit more and you're able to just look somewhere completely different because you don't need that focus.
And that goes to YouTube comments that you got back then too. That's definitely something that I think a lot of Let's Players face, because they don't realize that, for one, focus is always, you're always going to have a different focus than someone else. That's just perspective. That's just, stepping out of egocentrism right there. And not a lot of people realize that, which is, but also as a viewer, you can't just help it. You can't help it, but be like, why didn't you notice that? Even though you do know the reason why they didn't notice that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That being said, where else is it gonna go with this? I don't know. Okay, so how about our dynamic as opposed to Troy's? Do you feel like this one is a weird dynamic, or different at all?
Yeah.
In what way? It
That just is.
just kind of sucks more, you know?
So I would say that our dynamic, I think our biggest thing is that we never know what just is gonna work. Like we have such a bad time figuring out like what's just gonna be good. Like for example, let's take Moonbase Alpha today. I think Moonbase Alpha would have made a really, between the two of us, really solid video, I think. Like, if we edited it and stuff, I think it would have been really funny to watch. But because it was not edited and it was a full stream, there was a lot of just like, I don't want to say goofing around, because there was a lot of goofing around, which is fine. You know, that's what we're here to do. We play games and goof around. We're friends. That's how friends work. But there was also those moments of like, I don't know if we want to try this again and do it. And, you know, like, and I think there was also a sense of just like, I think we both started to enjoy the game when we were actually succeeding at the game too.
I was enjoying it when it was over and we were just typing in the chat for 30 minutes.
See, that's also the goofing around thing. Well, see, Evie, I don't think it was it was made by like part of the NASA team too. I think like as an attempt to make a somewhat educational game. And it just ended up like most educational games being anything but educational. Like nobody plays Oregon Trail to learn about history. We all play Oregon Trail because
you need to survive.
We want to make sure we don't die from dysentery.
And that's that's a balance with the educational games. You want it to be fun, but you can't possibly have it. You need to have both happening at the same time. Educational fun. You can't separate fun and education.
It's
because
really
then you'll
hard.
sleep through education. Like I think that's a lot of flaws in like some good shows. Like the lesson is separate.
I don't know if separating education and fun is the correct term to go about that, because there's times when I have fun learning too.
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying. The fun learning needs to be there.
Like, I think the better way you're thinking about it is it's really hard to separate education and video games, or I guess to combine them in a sense, because like I learn a lot from video games. As far as like schoolwork and stuff, like I can't say that I've really learned too much from video games to apply in school, I guess.
There's definitely some VR.
Yeah, I guess, but and I was also gonna say I'm kind of okay with that too. That that there's not a lot, but
how else was Raiden going to become a soldier? That wasn't in the VR.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the topic here. The duo dynamic. Because I really think this is an interesting... Because there's a lot of factors that go into it. Like, do you find yourself... Do you find yourself... No, I don't know what I'm trying to get here. Because, of course, you don't feel like yourself when you're playing alone versus when you're playing with another person. Because in a sense, those are two different personalities that you're showing off. Do you agree with that in any way?
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe not big jumps in personality, so to say, but more so. I would say the bigger jump in personality is when I'm playing a game by myself, like not streaming, versus streaming. Because when I stream, I have to put I have to be entertaining in a sense, even if you guys do come for chill streams a lot, like I do want a sense of entertaining value to it. But when I play games by myself, I'm the most quietest person possible.
Yes.
Like I don't have any reason to, I may giggle by myself, but
even with a fun game, I don't talk much. Unless someone else is in the room, I'll be like, "Yeah, that was funny. Let's continue."
Yeah.
But not like I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it like I don't know. I guess when you're alone, you don't feel like verbally, reacting to things. You're like, there's a funny joke I thought of, but I don't need to say it out loud.
Chris, I have a task for you. This is completely off topic. If
right.
you make a video called GiggleFest 2018, which is just finding me giggle through like 5 to 10 minutes of just streams and stuff, and it actually is amusing to watch, I will upload it to YouTube. Anyways,
what does that mean for me though?
No.
Nothing. You're not a audience member too. You just sit there and draw.
Yeah.
Go practice your digital art speed. What the heck was I talking about? Give me a moment. The brain needs to recollect. About playing. So how about when you're playing with a friend off stream versus on stream? Like, do you ever do that with Troy?
Very rarely. Yeah, we do. It's just not as common as a thing anymore these days because I very rarely see Troy as it is. Last time I saw Troy hanging out was
Game-a-thon.
No, there was one more stream we did, and that was the last time I saw him and actually hang out with him.
I don't remember.
What did we play? I don't remember what we played.
Was it Clayman? No.
No, it wasn't Clayman. We played something different, I thought.
I'm starting to remember it, but it's been one heck of a stream in these past few. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Someone right now.
What's up, Joe, bro? And welcome. I haven't seen you before.
We might. Well, I don't know if Carl wants to get into that rank thing. We'll talk about it later if we do get around to it. But yeah. But I guess at the end of the day, though, I do want to ask you this, Carl. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Are we friends, or when we stream, is this purely business, in a sense?
No, it's friends.
Because that's what I think got in the way.
Thing
Sorry.
I look at these days. Obviously I do this as I guess a profession in a sense. I don't like just sitting there. I've talked to a lot of these guys. They all know. I've talked to a lot of these guys. I'm like, is there any way I could kind of do this or make incentive for you guys to pay and all that stuff? But whenever we discuss it, I always find that it just ends up being that there's nothing good that ever comes out of it. Not like any good suggestions, but more so the suggestions that they offer are better utilized in anything but being like pay to watch. So, this is why I'm looking to actually go into a different profession while I continue to stream as I do, to make some extra cash on the side so I can, I'd like to rely on people just giving me money, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like I do enough, I guess, to just be like, this has to happen. You know what I'm kind of saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I want to mention to Dolly, this question is actually, I think, the reason why best friends split, because the business side of the whole operation took over them being just friends and hanging around. And although it's debatable whether or not you can tell if there is a fallout happening between them or not. It's not like they hate each other. It's just like they're not being friends. Well, we don't know because it just happened today. But I don't know. That's definitely a thing that can get in the way of producing content. Just the fact that you're viewing, like, you could be very good business partners. I think of Matsumoto and Hamada, a very popular duo in Japan, a comic duo, and they work very fine, even though they don't consider each other friends. And like, they're all business partners, and they've been doing it for well over 30 plus years or so. But I do want to say that, like, on a smaller scale, like, say, YouTube doing a let's play or even streaming, like, I think it's important to remember that this is all to have fun. And sometimes when it's like, okay, what's the best content, or what's the best game to play? Do you think people will find this appealing? Yeah, that's important. But I think if that overtakes, we're both friends, we're having fun here. That's definitely when you kind of lose sight on things. And I don't know. It's hard to say if that's what happened to best friends, but it seems like that, and that, makes me feel melancholy.
Yeah.
That show started with them not being friends, and then they admitted to each other, you know what, I can call you my friend. And now that they're saying they're not friends anymore, that's very devastating, honestly.
I don't think I could do this without just thinking the people that come on are friends. Like, I don't know. Here's the other thing. The real kicker to me is that I can't really define a friend. I can define everybody else but a friend. And when I get into that, like, is this person a friend, like, topic, the people listening to me, when I define something like that, if I can't define them anyone else, that's probably the defining factor of they are a friend, because I can't define them as anyone else. And I think that's the real... I know this makes absolutely no sense as I'm saying it now, but at the same time, that's how my mentality of it goes too. Like, what else would I call Speed other than fired?
Artist guy. Because, like, I don't know. So why I wanted to... why I asked that is because it's like, do you think we would be doing this if we... No, actually, that's false. If we weren't friends, I wouldn't be on here.
No, I don't think so.
I just wanted to ask that because that's definitely a thing I wanted to just point out in what the best friends thing, because I knew you would say friends. Right,
Well, see, here's the thing. When it comes to friends, the real identifier of what makes a friend is when you play that WarioWare game with Orbulon, and it gives you the rating of what kind of friends, what kind of people you are. So, and 99 times out of 100, it's always going to be acquaintances. So the real thing is that everyone's just acquaintances.
I thought you were gonna say you can't be friends unless.
Yeah.
I thought you said you can't be friends unless the friends till the end. That's forever, because that's what friends do. That song has to play, or else you're not friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. I just wanted to point out.
So is this on the same level as when they had to let Wormy go?
Goodbye, Wormy. But I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted to connect it to what seemed to happen in the Best Friends channel, and that how just disheartening that is to hear. When Carl and I have that begin to have a falling out, you guys will know. Like, Carl will say you're fired, and I'll take it like seriously. Like, oh, you'll fire me, huh? and then I say a bad word, and then the whole stream's over.
Yeah, that'll be it.
I'm fired, huh? Well, you. And Carl's like, well, you're out of here.
Yeah, I'll say something. I'll say you're hired.
You're what? What are you trying to say? Huh? I'm hired? What do you think this is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, and the stream has ended like 5 times already.
You know,
the stream's got to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It just shocked me this morning. I felt really depressed because I don't know. I kind of got the same feeling when you said you weren't going to do any more Let's Plays, and I was like, oh, that's really sad.
It's just that was the most frustrating time of my life, actually, when that happened. Some of you guys know, obviously, I have a degree is more to the point of what I'm trying to say, and I'm sure there's quite a few other people out there that have said it too, but I'm not really satisfied for the fact that I have a degree. Like, I feel did I learn a lot at college, and Yes, and I'm grateful for a lot of the musical skills that I acquired through college. But at the same time, through those 5 years, I really did kind of feel like I threw a huge part of my life out the window. And there's a lot of regret that kind of happened to that too. When I had to disband from doing Let's Plays and streaming and all that stuff, that was one of the most heartbreaking things in my life, believe it or not. And I still really just go about life kind of, I don't want to say regret, because if I sit there regretting it, like, my life's never just going to move on. So I guess I contemplated a lot of what would have happened had I had not stopped. There's probably a pretty gosh darn good chance that all the events and stuff would have been like, I would have never started talking to you and whatnot. But who knows, really? You know, it's one of those, if I sit there and regret it, I'm going to never be able to move on with my life. So, yeah, and the reason I say that is because I totally get it. And I know a couple of people that, you know, went through that kind of issue too, now thinking about it more. One of the inspirations that I grew up with a lot of the times too, or when I grew up on the internet, back when the internet was the dark ages of the internet, I was a really big fan of watching an old website called Screw Attack. And I really enjoyed all the content that they put onto that channel. And it wasn't even so much like the reviews and stuff that I enjoyed, but just them being kind of friends. And the website was originally started by two people. One of them was Craig, and the other one was Tom. Not to be mistaken with Tom in the chat. And, you know, I really enjoyed both of them. Like, their chemistry was perfect, and everything was great. And then one day, Tom eventually stopped. Like, he just stopped showing up, which is probably how I would do most of that stuff as it is that they would just not show up anymore. And then eventually I would just say, it happened, time to move on. And I think that's, as much as it's kind of a crappy way of doing it, I think it's also a really respectable way of doing it too, because it ends up not being as drama-filled. Are there a lot of questions that happen for a lot of people? Yes. Are there going to be a lot of questions that happen anyways? Yes. So,
so the best friends one was very respectful. Like, we're not gonna, you know, dance around this. This is the end of the channel, but you can find us on all these other ones, and they gave everyone their own thing. I think a disrespectful way to do it. This is weird because I don't really watch them, but for Game Grumps, when John left, that felt like a insult. Because I didn't watch them a lot, but like. The fact that it's like, okay, John's gone. Well, here's Danny. I think Danny's a great guy, but it's like the way that they did that was insulting to the fans, and you know, as if he was just a step. You know,
it's really weird because I watched a little bit more of it. You know, I liked the beginning Game Grumps, and then I kind of got out of it, and you know, the whole John thing happened and whatnot. And I read into just for the sake of curiosity, just to see if I could figure out what exactly happened. And there are a million stories about what happened. And as far as I can tell, nobody's 100% sure, and nobody there wants to really just fess up to what happened. It's just one of those, I guess, things that just happened. I know you thought it was kind of just disrespectful, I guess, in a sense, but at the same time, they kind of ended on a really not as sour note, because they at least said goodbye instead of just not showing up. Like, I guess there was an agreement at the end.
Yeah, I guess so. But what I'm more to the point about is just like, I don't know, the way that it's done. I don't think you should do it in a jokey sense. I think you should treat your fans with respect and just say, John is not going to be a part of Game Grumps anymore. Instead, his role will be reprised by Dan. I know this might cause a lot of controversy, but we will try to get through it as we, you know, try to present content as we have been doing, you know. Something like that. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, you know.
See, and, you know, everybody, like, really hated Danny, too. And the weird thing is that the more I watched with Danny, with Aaron, like, I think their chemistry is actually better than it was with John and Aaron.
At a sense, because I think the big problem is that they don't focus on the game because they're both such dynamic of a duo. But the reason why people hated Danny is just because he was just shoved in, like, you know.
Right.
I think that's the reason why I think of it as disrespectful, even though I don't even watch JonTron anymore, you know, because there's a little bit of controversy.
Controversy? I thought it was just more so because there is no JonTron to watch.
Oh, and Chris, I heard about that. My sister actually talked about this morning because of Best Friends, but I don't remember. I don't really watch the completionist myself, so I haven't actually followed it. Not addressing the issue, yeah, it leaves it to more rumors, definitely.
I think, you know, I think we're just dancing around the finite just bottom line. And I think the bottom line is that there's no good way of going about it. No matter how hard you try, like, let's, like, in a scenario, if me and Speed were just like, we've just had it and we didn't want to do this anymore, like, if we just both came on to a podcast and we just kind of said, we're done, thanks for everything, it's just time for us to move on, like, there's still going to be questions. If we didn't do anything, there's still going to be questions. If we both start going at it on the podcast and even, you know, said everything to our heart's content, there's still going to be questions. So I think the bottom line
is just the inevitable.
It's just the inevitable. Like, no matter how hard you try and solve this issue, there's just going to be questions.
I just think that what it comes down to is treating your fans with respect and telling them the information. Like, sure, there'll be questions, right? But at least they'll know, like, at least there's a better sense of, you know, okay, it's over, you know, over than, you know, he's here now, it's Dan, you know.
I remember when they replaced Tom with Brain at Mojo.
With Brain. Here's just the human organ brain. The intro is gonna be a little grotesque with the nervous system on full display over Tom's part, but unfortunately we had to let Tom go. He has not fixed his Fortune Street SD card. He has been removed from the premises. In fact, Brian has already got an SD card and he already ordered Fortune Street. I'm
just thinking it's kind of like one of those Futurama brains. Or no, not the brains, the heads, but just the brain.
Yeah. Oh, I also think of Billy and Mandy, don't they? They have the bear with the brain.
Oh yeah, they do have that. I forget what that bear is called though.
Not Hostile God. Whoops, that's
that's
Pliskin. Yeah, I don't remember who. I don't know who that was, but he was a great character. Woot Wolf also. I'm pretty sure he was a cartoon aficionado here.
I feel like Chris is gonna get to it first. I don't know. We'll see. He's from Evil Con Carne.
Yeah, I know he's from Evil Con Carne, but he doesn't he have an appearance in Billy and Mandy?
I don't know, but
I don't know. I paused like I'm waiting for Chris to.
Yeah, it's gonna take a second here. So.
Yeah, but I think that's all I really have to say on the matter. I guess that we can go a little more into just the dynamic aspect rather than the falling out aspect. But I don't know. What do you think? Because do you have anything else to say about so? Are there certain games that you would prefer to play with Troy over other games, besides just single player experiences?
I think I've said this before too. I've always been a firm believer that playing the Mario parties and stuff is more so what the people want. As far as what Troy wants, he wants to play those weird, strange. Not strange. Strange is a bad word. More so. He'd rather do an RPG with me for 30 hours instead of playing Mario Party. That's just what Troy really wants to do, as opposed to what probably should be done. Like, if we were looking at it from a business standpoint versus a fun standpoint, it'd probably be fun for us, but boring as all heck for everybody else. I don't really have much more to say about it.
So like, flip that in this sense. So, I guess, what games do you think you prefer playing on Sweetie Sundays? Because we have a wide range of Peace Walker, and then we got a lot of games on the backlog there. We've definitely played our fair share of popular games.
The biggest thing I find, like, between you and Katie when playing games online is that I really like seeing a lot of response from people showing up. So, because, like, I look at, like, right now, and we had, like, 5 people for Moonbase Alpha, and now we're doing this podcast where neither of us are even playing a game at all, and we have 12 viewers. So, it's one of those weird things where it's like, I'm enjoying the fact more so of the podcast than I am when we were playing Moonbase Alpha. So I think that's the biggest thing that factors into when I stream, is that I do like seeing. I mean, everybody thinks it too. Like, when you stream, you want people to show up. You don't want to just stream to stream. Like, that's the whole point. So that's where I kind of look more so in the, if people show up, then I enjoy it more. If people don't show up, then I'm struggling because I want to switch to something that people are probably going to enjoy more. But in the same sense, the games that we play, like Uniracer, I thought that was a blast when we played it. The only problem is that just nobody showed up for it, and there are a million factors that could have gone into that too.
I think the podcast benefits from being later in the night. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But it's like, I don't think you should start up a stream at this time all the time.
Right.
Because then I'd be like, oh, sorry, Carl, I gotta sleep. I think I was asking more in the sense though of so do you prefer it when we play? So I'm just talking about the playing aspect. Like, do you prefer when we play these weirder games, or do you prefer it when we play these more commonly played games? So, like, we did Mario World, and then we also did Uniracers. Like, which one do you think was more fun? Because I think the more we don't know about the game, I find I enjoy it more. Like, Fire Strikers. I don't know why that was one of my favorite things I've played with you. I think it's just because I wasn't expecting most of it.
Like I said, it's more so just I want to see people enjoying what we play. So it really actually factors a lot more so into that. I feel like we never play a game on our own, so I feel like if we were to play a game on our own, it'd be a whole different ballpark of what you were experiencing with me. But to answer, I guess, the question, because of that, it changes with game to game. Like, we could play Super Mario Brothers 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3, and albeit that they're Mario games, and yeah, they're different, but in the sense of because one was more popular, I would probably choose to say that was the more popular game to play. And the counterpoint to that is because you're probably, if you're thinking that I only want to play the mainstream stuff because that's all people want, when you look at the Gameathon, and it's when its max peaking moment was when we played Troll and I. You can't get any more weird than a game like that, so there's no real answer I can actually definitively give you than that.
I guess all I'm asking is, what do you enjoy playing with me? But okay.
I'm sorry, but like we don't play games like outside of streaming that often. Like I like playing Fortune Street a lot.
Too much so. I'm dying. Hey, come on! I've had the itch to play Speed, but Carl, hey, I'm dying. But I love Fortune Street.
So. I literally can't answer the question because I don't.
Okay. Because I don't know. I think it's interesting because between Mario Galaxy and Harvest Moon, I think Johnny actually prefers playing Harvest Moon. For just playing together. I don't know. It's definitely a weird thing that I guess you can't explain, and I guess that's why you're having difficulties.
Yeah.
What else are we? I think that's all we gotta talk about, huh?
I don't have much else to really talk about myself. We didn't come prepared, and somehow we still managed to spew out quite a bit. I think, Speed, you're probably more impressed by the fact that how long we talked about practice and music today, music and art, than you thought we were going to with that topic.
Yeah. I've done a moderation. So yeah, that's that'll be it for the podcast. Let's just talk about your week ahead, because now that we don't know the Carl's miss, what's the verdict here?
So tomorrow, the primary thing I want to get done is I want to finish the cleanup of this room. That is number one. I have to get stuff done because I'm partially hosting Christmas instead of the parents doing so. There's a lot of stuff I have to get done with that. So if I decide that I have to cancel a stream, it's just outright because I have other stuff that I want to get done.
Makes sense. That's what happened during the Game-a-thon.
Yeah. But we'll finish up Sonic Adventure probably tomorrow. Or Sonic Adventure 2, I should say. Maybe we'll start Chrono Trigger. I might want to just start something that's a little more on the quicker side.
Yeah, I think that because I was like, Chrono Trigger, I don't know if you have enough time to invest in that.
Yeah.
I think that could be a fresh start January, like.
Yeah, that's
because
you're correct, and you're then
it's like, yeah, we're going into the future of 2019 with this game. It's a good segue,
yeah.
I think. What else? Do you plan on? What would be the replacement game then for Chrono Trigger?
I don't have an answer. Everybody is crying out for Octodad.
Octodad.
I just don't want to play Octodad.
Then why'd you put it on the list?
I don't know. I was actually gonna cancel that day.
Leave us with an unopened chocolate box, would you?
That's the mint chocolate box. Nobody wants that one.
We'll see what happens, folks. But hopefully you can find a game
that gif of the guy. He's really excited. He opens up the fridge and then he's just like, oh man.
And then it goes away.
That's how it looks. That's me for that.
I would recommend. I'm gonna go through your list real quick because you have some games on there, right? The announcements are here. Super Metroid. Would that be short enough?
No. Mario Kart 64 would be like I could probably do it in
a one-off.
Yeah.
Which is the thing. Oh, Sonic Adventure 2.
Shit.
Super Monkey Ball. That's also another one-off, ain't it?
See, I don't know if that. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I could beat that in one night. It might take me a few nights to do it. Halo, would be like if not 1, 2. Kirby Squeak Squad could probably be done in one night if I really tried. So
it wouldn't hurt to just spread it out, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
The Squeak Squad could be spread out. I mean, I forget how far you even got. Like, you got to World 3 even? I don't even know. You could aim for 100% of that pretty easily too. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the week is basically Sonic Adventure 2, and then I don't know.
Pretty much.
Don't ask me. What do you want from me?
Pretty much, yeah.
All
You're
right,
not wrong.
so I think we'll call it there. Could you make the white bar a little longer before we go?
Oh yeah, there. There, I'll just do that.
Give me a moment. Okay. So that'll be the end. Oh, you blinded by a white light. All right. So say the ending, Carl. Responsible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Flashbang out.
Terrorist win. Oh, that'd be so cool. Like if it played the every time terrorist or every time I won as an MVP.
That you'd have heavy modification is involved, and I don't know it. You need to find a modder. Like I'm the draw guy. You need to find a guy who could just mod things pretty easily for you.
I always wanted somebody to mod me into Gmod, like to take a representation of me, I guess, and just throw me as a Gmod ragdoll. I would have so much fun.
I could try. Like I'll just use a lot of the shapes. You know, your head will be the fire cylinder, you know, and then your hair will be the one that the sniper wears in TF2. You know, the one that's all raggedy and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
I guess.
The long hair. And I'll paint it brown, and then we're good. All right, that's the end of the podcast for the 5th time. Please end it, Carl.
I don't wanna.
Okay, let's keep going. All right. So another topic Carl wanted to talk about is OBS versus XSplit. Are you ending the stream while I'm talking right now?
No, actually, I'm not. Got him.
I was solely expecting it.
Yeah, no, that's why I didn't do it because it was funnier.
I don't want to talk. I don't think I ever want to talk about OBS versus XSplit because it's like I don't have the knowledge to discuss that with you. It's like, what's different from OBS to XSplit?
All right, fine. We won't talk about it. All right.
Yeah.
Make you happy.
Get out of here. Yeah, this is the fallout.
Are you? Excuse me.
What?
You telling me to get out of here?
Get out. Oh, you want to fight?
Yeah. Here we go. No, I'll get Dolly to fight for me. She'll beat the crap out of you.
Oh, you sure about that, Dolly? Oh, when you be sounding like this after a bunch of marbles. What? Is this stream ending?
I don't know. I'm watching this little riot happen.
All right, let's reboot up Moonbase. Let's keep going here. 12-hour stream.
All right, I guess I'll press the button now. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Goodbye.